Hi there, strikers. There's something uniquely disturbing about people vanishing into thin air. Read about these incredibly strange, unsolved cases. Although these disappearances span centuries, locations, age ranges, and circumstances, there's one common thread shared between them: a lack of closure. There are theories, speculations, and investigations, but never a decisive answer. On our incoming episode, I'm going to feature some of the cases of mysterious disappearances, of some missing that just disappear without any trace. The disappearance of Leah Roberts. Leah Toby Roberts was born in 1976 and raised in the suburbs of Durham, North Carolina. She loved spending time with her parents and her older siblings, brother Heath and sister Cara. Leah had a typical childhood, but things took a turn for the worse when she was in her teens. In 1995, when she was 17 years old, her dad was diagnosed with a chronic lung illness. Then, when Leah was a sophomore at North Carolina State University studying Spanish and anthropology, her mom unexpectedly died from heart disease. After taking some time off to mourn the loss of her mom, Leah returned to school for the fall semester in 1998. Shortly afterwards, however, she got into a car accident after a truck pulled out in front of her. Leah was left with a punctured lung and a shattered femur. Her leg was so badly damaged in the accident that surgeons had to place a metal rod alongside her thigh bone so it would heal properly. When she survived the accident, Leah said she felt born again. She told her family that as the accident unfolded, she was positive she going to die. This near-death experience gave Leah a new appreciation of life. Around 6 months later, in the spring of 1999, Leah's dad died. Although she was only around a semester away from graduating college, she left school against the advice of her siblings so she could live life to the fullest. Leah, who was then 23 years old, stayed in Durham, North Carolina and moved in with her friend Nicole. She focused on self-improvement, learning both guitar and photography, and adopting a kitten named Bee. She spent countless hours hanging out in coffee shops, writing poetry, and journaling about the meaning of life. On the morning of March 9, 2000, Leah chatted on the phone with her sister Cara and they made tentative plans to get together in the near future. A few hours later, Leah agreed to go babysitting with her roommate Nicole the following day. Later that evening, when Nicole headed out, she noticed both Leah and her vehicle, a 1993 white Jeep Cherokee, were gone. She thought nothing of it, though, as Leah kept a somewhat erratic schedule since she was no longer attending school and was living off an inheritance and not working. The next day, Leah failed to show up at the babysitting job and never returned home. On Monday, March 13, Nicole reached out to Leah's sister Cara and explained Leah had vanished, and Cara called Durham police to report her missing. Leah has never been seen or heard from again. On March 14, Cara and Nicole carefully searched Leah's room and noticed a lot of her clothing was missing. Also, her cat Bee was gone, along with the animal's cage and various other pet supplies. They also discovered a note that read, "I'm not suicidal. I'm the opposite." Leah decorated her message with a doodle of the Cheshire Cat's grin, perhaps suggesting she was acting in a way that may be mischievous but that made her happy. In the note, Leah also referenced Jack Kerouac, a Beat Generation author who wrote about travel and journeys of self-discovery using spontaneous prose. Leah had recently talked about Kerouac's work with her friends, in particular his book The Dharma Bums, the sequel to the popular On the Road. The Dharma Bums recounts Kerouac's time as a U.S. Forest Service fire lookout on Desolation Peak in the northern Cascade Mountains in the Pacific Northwest. Wrapped in the note, Leah left enough cash to cover approximately a month of rent and utilities. The money, the items missing from the house, and their content of the note led Leah's loved ones to believe she had gone on a trip but planned on returning. Leah's sister Cara still had power of attorney back from when Leah had gone on a school trip to Costa Rica, so she was able to check her bank accounts. The transactions appeared to indicate Leah had indeed left on an unexpected road trip. On the afternoon of March 9, just after she was last seen by her roommate, Leah withdrew several $1,000s from her bank account. Cara could see in Leah's bank statements that her debit card was then used to pay for a motel room close to Memphis, Tennessee. Numerous other transactions for gas and food helped Cara to trace her sister's movements across the country, with the last transaction being a fuel purchase in Brooks, Oregon on March 13. Cara was thankful her sister was alive and well. After looking through her financials and connecting with some of Leah's friends from the coffee shops where she had been hanging out, Cara was sure she had gone on a journey of self-discovery to the Pacific Northwest to mirror Kerouac's trip in the Dharma Bums. On March 18, 2000, Cara hoped her sister would call her to wish her a happy birthday. Instead, she learned distressing news from the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office in Bellingham, Washington. Earlier that day, joggers had located a jeep at the bottom of a ravine in a dense wooded area alongside Canyon Creek Road, a road that connects rural residences and remote logging camps near Mount Baker's Snoqualmie National Forest to Mount Baker Highway. During their run, the joggers noticed clothing on the side of the roadway entangled in tree branches by a slight curve in the road near the top of a small hill. The pair picked their way down the embankment, found a badly damaged vehicle, and called police. Authorities quickly matched the plate number, JVP 2881, to Leah's missing Jeep. And this is the first of her story. See you on the last part.